Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second annual Live Strip Tool Conference. On behalf of Orthman, we would like to extend a very warm welcome to you all. We appreciate you taking your time off your busy day and schedules. My name is Brian Nevo, host and founder of the Live Strip Tool Conference. This is the last episode for the year, and I firstly would like to welcome a couple of people live with me today. I have Peter Prinsloo from Rates area. He's a farmer who's been farming with an Orthman strip tool for the last 12 years. With me joining, who has been a soil scientist at the USAID for 32 years and has been a soil lead agronomist at Orthman for 10 years, Mike Peterson. As well,
Morning,
a
everybody.
grower from the US, Pat McKnight. Thank you for joining us. He's been a farmer and using Orthman strip tool for about 12 years. So gentlemen, thank you for joining us today. I really do appreciate it. Mike, I know this is our last episode, and there's going to be a couple of questions, really good questions today. I know Peter has a couple of questions from his side as well. And I think, let me start off with, Peter, explain to me, what was your initial, your vision on strip tool? What made you look at strip tool?
Thanks, Brian. It's a privilege to be here. The main thing is to use one tool to do all the tillage on the farm. After harvest, you can strip till, and right after that, you can plant. There's no other tools needed. If you look at the prices of all the equipment these days, and everything you need, all the equipment and tractors and drivers and everyone, that's the first thing, is to do everything with one tool.
Yes, and I know Peter has a couple of images that he'll show here shortly. And in your location, Rates area, what have you seen? Is there any changes to your land? Any changes that you've been using a Orthman strip tool?
Yes, there's an enormous change. The soil the dirt became soil again.
Okay.
The life in the soil exploded.
Yeah.
With the less tillage and less usage of implements that
Correct.
kill all the diversity, and that's the main thing.
Earthworms and
And leaving the organic matter
yeah.
came up a lot.
Okay.
The last 2 years I used the smart firmer on the planter,
Sure.
and the organic matter of each field came up significantly.
Sure.
Yeah.
Pat, just maybe going over to you is, just the same questions. Obviously, you've seen obviously this as well in your environment. I know we across the water quite a ways, but Mike has been there to you guys, and you've obviously seen the same experience as well, right?
I guess for us, the first reason to head in the strip till direction was efficiency. It was just taking us too much time to get over the acres, to get the fertilizer put on and get ready to plant. And so running over about 1,400 acres with a few of us on a part-time basis, basically, efficiency was a big thing to us. Going forward since then, there has been a very noticeable and appreciable change in the way the soil functions. It's much healthier than it was once we started this process. It's taken poorer parts of the farms and evened them up with the better parts of the farms. We have less areas that drowned out every year. So all in all, it's made us more efficient. It's made us more efficient with the fertilizer in the volume that we put on, and it's improved our soil conditions, which really, in all honesty, took a period of about 3 to 4 years before we really started to see the those types of benefits. But since then, soil health has improved, our efficiency has improved, and the bottom line has improved.
Yeah. And what type of crops do you guys, the main type of crops that you guys use in that area? Hybrids?
Corn and soybeans.
Okay. And Peter,
We have the same.
is it?
Yeah.
Is there any specific hybrids that you guys, or just the standard?
No.
Okay.
It's just the standard. Yeah.
All right. I think Peter has got a couple of pictures that he wants to share with us. He can share with us and just talk about. Peter, maybe you can just explain a little bit there.
That's only a picture of corn emerging at exact the same time. And that you can only get with a precise seed bed. And you can see that each kernel emerged within 12 hours.
Sure.
And that is the key to good yield.
Correct. And the row spacing, and there's no late emergers or anything.
No. We have a little bit problem with following the strips because I'm not on RTK.
Okay.
So you have to drive the tractor. I'm the tractor driver that plants, and my brother is driving the strip till.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, you're tired because you had to concentrate to plant straight.
Yes.
And especially on contours to stay in the strip. And you can't use your GPS like planting contours because it's a drawn planter and a lift strip till. So you have to compensate with the tractor to stay exactly in the middle of the strip.
Sure.
So it's hard work to plant precise, but you can see it works. We started integrating rye and oats and everything, and that makes a huge difference in the organic matter in the soil. And I always say to people, we farm with carbon. The more carbon in the soil, the better your soil is.
Correct.
So, yeah.
And have you seen any improvement since you've been using the Orthman strip till in your yields, profits?
Yes, definitely. Yields never went backwards.
Okay.
There's a lot of guys that's saying you can do anything, but you mustn't go backwards on your yield.
Yes.
And that I can say, we just went forward with the yield. Yeah.
And obviously that's another image of, with soybeans and.
Yeah.
All right.
But the water infiltration is a lot better when you have cover on the ground.
Correct.
And the more coverage you have. Yeah.
Pat, you've been using strip till for a while as well, and Mike, you can climb in here, and I don't know if there's a couple of questions that Mike has, maybe just to come back on the same topic, that I asked Peter is, have you seen any increase in yields and any changes in your profits and that?
I wouldn't say that there has been a drastic increase in yield. The most positive effect on yield that I guess that I've seen consistently is taking the poorer parts of the farms and bringing them more even with the better parts of the farms. We have had over the last 12 years increases in yields all across the board, and the strip tiller has played a definite role in that. But we have better hybrids. We have better fertilizer products.
Sure.
We have better irrigation management. So there's a lot of things that play into that. But I can say with exact certainty that the poorer parts of the farms have become much more even with the higher producing parts of the farms. Sometimes some fairly drastic increases, 20, 30, 40 bushels per acre, which is a substantial amount. But from a profitability standpoint, just the efficiency alone, going from 3 trips across the field before we plant to 1, saves a lot of diesel fuel, saves a lot of time, saves a lot of hours on tractors.
Sure.
And then you couple that with we can be so much more accurate and efficient with our fertility placement that fertility costs have decreased a little bit too. So you add all those 3 things together, and it's definitely a much more profitable enterprise than what was happening before.
Yeah.
So Pat, I know that you've been doing this with Kevin, and I was wondering whether or not you might be able to express what you're doing now on your own land, how you've seen the changes there on your own farm.
Well, at home, this spring was the 2nd year of strip tillage at home, and the quality of the seed bed created by the one tripper is much improved from last year. We're starting even just in a second pass over with the strip tiller, a better quality seed bed, a more consistent seed bed, and these are some fairly heavy soils, so they can be wet and difficult to work with. So I was a little bit surprised how well the one tripper worked this year after only, in essence, 2 passes with it, as compared to the 12 years prior. Some of those changes took more along the lines of 3 to 4 years.
So Peter, do you happen to have, it appears from your pictures that you have some fairly sandy soils, is that correct?
Yes. Yes, we have sandy soils, but not as sand as the most people. But you can't imagine how the organic matter in the soil starts to develop. And the soil became darker if you look at the soil over the years. Each time you dig a profile pit in the soil, you can see it becomes darker and darker. Yes.
Peter, just maybe another question is, do you put fertilizer down with the one tripper?
Yes. Liquid fertilizer, yeah.
And at different depths, or do you just put it at one certain depth?
No, one certain depth.
Okay.
But there's a lot of stuff going on in our minds to change a little bit to 2 depths. And the other thing is, we usually broadcast ammonium sulfate in the pre-season, just before planting. We never use the strip tiller in winter time. And that's another thing we want to try and start doing a little bit in advantage, to have more space to plant in the summer, or you can work it ahead of the planter, because sometimes the planter is the strip tiller is holding you back.
Yes.
You can plant a little bit faster if you do it just the planter following the strip till at the same day.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously you've seen, the water infiltration much better as well. With you guys been using the Orthman strip till as well, right?
Yes. You can't believe at the neighbors' fields how the water runs off, and in our fields there's nothing. It looks like it rained half of what the neighbors get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike, I don't know, you've experienced this obviously all over the place, and I don't know if there's some other question that you have from your end.
Well, one of the things that, excuse me, I'd like to ask both Pat and Peter that are you guys finding that your not only your timing of being able to plant, but also the timing of when you fertilize is fitting what the crop needs are? So, Pat, you want to answer that, and then Peter can.
Well, that's the goal. We live in an area that can get kind of wet in the spring, and we strip till in the spring, and so that can be pretty challenging. But at the same time, like Peter had mentioned, there's a lot of times that the strip tiller and the planter are in the same field. They might only be 2 or 3 passes apart. Whatever is necessary to keep both operations going. I would say by switching to strip till, we've rethought basically every portion of a fertility plan and basically reversed a lot of things we did in the past as far as nitrogen management, phosphorus management, potassium management, and that all boils down to the efficiency end of it. By placing the immobile nutrients with the strip tiller, you can cut those costs fairly substantially in a shorter period of time, and it also allows us to fertilize for the crop instead of fertilizing for the field. Putting fertility where plants have no access to it, used to be the way everybody did it, and we've gotten a lot smarter, obviously, and just that efficiency alone has saved a substantial amount of money.
Thanks. How about you, Peter?
Yeah, it's basically the same that Pat says. But yeah, to put the most fertilizer in the strip is the best. This year we struggled a little bit with, we normally do a little bit of the nitrogen afterwards, 2 times. But then we broadcast CAN nitrogen afterwards. But this year we struggled to drive in the fields with all the rain. So we don't know how many of that fertilizer really worked.
Correct. Yeah.
Because the one time we fertilized a field, we had, I think, 50 or 60 millimeters of rain right after the spreader. So maybe we had some runoff. I want to try in the new season to use white drops a little bit. Dries, that was yesterday. He started
talking
about it and trying it out, and I think that's the goal, to put it next to the roots where it can work immediately, and water when it rains helps to take it into the soil.
Correct. I know Peter has another 2 images that he wants to show. And then, just going on this, this image that you've seen here, Peter, maybe you can just explain.
That's just to say we struggled this year with the wet year to stay into the rows with the sprayer, because it was so wet, and the sprayer slips into the strip, and then you struggle to get out of it again because it's very wet into the strip. And we had to put duals on the sprayer, and that helped a lot because the backside of the sprayer is very heavy and it slips into the strips. So yeah, that helped a lot. And the other slide.
And what is your population, if I may ask? What was the population that you planted there?
250,000 plants per hectare, yeah.
Do you guys plant about the same, Pat? Obviously, it'll be different in acres.
It's about 100,000.
On soybeans, it varies, probably anywhere from 140,000 plants per acre to 175,000 on average.
Okay. And you guys, have you had the same where the sprayer, comes into the strips in wet seasons?
That's generally not an issue for us, just because we probably have a little bit wider row spacing. Our center to center on the rows is 36 inches,
Okay.
which gives us quite a bit more room. And then also using controlled traffic, so the sprayer generally runs on a previous pass from the tractor, has helped that situation. That is a problem with strip till, having the sprayer fall off into the strip and not want to climb out. But there's quite a few ways to mitigate that and get around it. In western Nebraska, I live in Nebraska. In western Nebraska, almost every field is sprayed at an angle, a slight angle from the strips, and they have noticed no yield loss. And as compared to driving over a row for a quarter of a mile. But there's controlled traffic helps. We do a lot of cultivation as part of our weed control program, so that helps firm the soil up in between the strips. So there's quite a few different ways around that particular issue.
Yeah. And have you guys, do you feel that you're more efficient, with your fertilizer program when you're using a strip till system?
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah, you're definitely more efficient, and you can put it where the plant needs it.
Sure.
Just in front of his mouth.
Yeah. You're feeding it pretty much.
Yeah.
And do you see any other types of savings that, on using this strip till approach?
Yeah, definitely. The biggest saving is on labor and cost, equipment cost, tractor hours. The tractor that pulls the strip tiller is a 2012 model, and it's got 2,000 hours now.
Sure.
It's
And diesel?
the only thing you do. Yeah, a lot of savings.
Yeah. And diesel, your guys' diesel costs, has that come down?
I think it's about half, yeah.
Sure. And you've been doing it for 12 years?
Yeah.
11, 12 years?
Yeah.
Pat, and at your end?
Similar. Our fertilizer efficiencies on immobile nutrients have probably equated to somewhere in the neighborhood of a 20 to 30% savings on cost per acre, and then you couple that with the hours on the tractors. Sure. And the time, and truthfully, we've learned a lot, over many years of doing this, that the practice of heavy tillage actually destroys soil. Yeah. And so the one thing we can't measure is what's the improvement to our soil worth. And that's something that, I don't know if we'll ever be able to put a number to it. But yeah, organic matters have increased. Soil structure is better. Water infiltration rates have increased. All these things coupled together make for a much healthier soil environment. And I don't know, that's probably the one thing we won't be able to put a number to as far as increased profitability. The soil is definitely more efficient, and that's a big part of it that we probably can't measure.
Yeah, no, definitely. Mike, I know we're coming to the end here now, and I don't know if you maybe have a question or two on your end before we close off this day.
No, I have a couple comments. I know that from the pictures that Peter has shown, that you can tell the plants are a lot more robust. They appear that they have really good color. So that tells me that even though it's a little not measurable, but color does tell you whether or not the plant has done a good job of taking up its nutrients. Uh, it's somewhat subjective, but as you look across this soybean field, that the picture that's on the screen right now, boy, those are neat and clean and uniform, and they're doing a really good job. Have you noticed, first to Pat, have you noticed in your soybean fields the later pod development has really improved? And Peter, then you can answer that.
Yeah, I mean, we're producing higher bushel soybeans now than we ever have in the past. I don't know how much of that we can equate to the strip tiller, because we're doing so many different things now than we used to on soybeans. We have better varieties. We're using fertility on soybeans, which nobody used to do. But the efficiency of ground preparation and fertilizer application is still there with the soybeans as it is on corn. But there's been so many changes to how we treat soybeans, if you will, other than just going out there and planting them and walking away. It's hard to say with any certainty how much of an effect the strip tiller has had on our increases in soybean yields. We were stuck in that 65 to 75 bushel range for many, many years, and now we're 85 to 95, which is, but I don't know how much of that could be attributed just to the strip tiller.
Oh, you want to throw a whole lot towards it, Pat. Peter, for you, what have you noticed in your soybean yields? Have they improved over the last 5 years? Have they improved significantly for you?
Mike, yes, I think they improved a little bit. But the last few years, we struggled to plant in the perfect planting window. Our seasons are late. Each year, the season is late. And this year, we struggled a lot because we started wet. The soil was wet from the winter. And then when the first rain came, it kept on raining.
Yeah.
And we struggled to plant late. But yes, there's definitely late pods developing. And I think there's definitely an increase in pod development, like you say, in the strip-till system.
As I said yesterday, Peter, I mean, it's a little bit of a tease. I know that normally you guys don't have a whole lot of excess moisture, so it's fun to hear, in a manner of speaking, there's a little bit of a growl that, oh my, we were wet this year. I would think that more often than not, like where I live in Colorado, which is in the rain shadow effect of the Rocky Mountains. And if we get a wet spring, most everybody's saying, I'm glad I got wet boots, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure it's the same. Yeah.
Yeah. You never moan and groans about too much rain.
Yeah.
You can make a plan, but when it's dry, you can't make a plan.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Very good. I'm pleased to that both of you guys are about the same amount of time in using the One Tripper, and what the successes have been for you, knowing that you've improved your soil quite a bit. Then also that your efficiencies jumped up. Along with that, you guys probably got a little bit more free time than you used to have, where you don't have to be sitting on the tractor until late hours of the night, even though sometimes you have to.
Yep.
So congratulations that the strip-till system is doing what you like it to do. And I'm sure that you're looking forward that it's going to be something that you use long into the future.
Yeah. I think so.
Peter and Pat, before we close off, I don't know if there's something that you guys would like to share before we close off, your opinion and to other growers out there, what is your experience and how do you feel about that you've been using a Northman strip tool for the last 12 years?
Well, to my knowledge, it's the best strip tool machine there is. There's no problem with residue management. You can plant through a blanket if you want to. It just goes through. Like I told you before we started, I thought we can modify a ripper that we had on the farm and make our own thing. And my dad said, there's no way.
Yeah.
This thing is built over 25 years. In planting time, there's no time to modify
And change and
change on it. You know it's right and do the right thing. And to other farmers, it will work. There's no doubt about it that it won't work. A friend of mine said he won't do it. It's not it doesn't work deep enough. And one day he came visiting me, and we were planting sorghum for the cattle. And when we dug the seeds for a meter to see how many seeds there are, we found 11 earthworms in that 1 meter.
Wow.
And the year after that, my friend has got an Oarsman as well.
There we go.
Yeah.
No, thanks, Peter. I really appreciate that. And Pat, maybe something from your end. What can you share, and just explain to everyone out there?
Well, much like Peter, I have yet to find a condition that I can't run it, and that's very beneficial. And I was thinking about it last night. I was actually running the one tripper last night, and our particular machine's probably got a little bit north of 20,000 acres on it or so. Now, granted, it sits inside all the time when it's not being used, and it gets well taken care for. But I would be hard pressed to say that we have spent between $200 and $2,500 in parts over the 12-year life of this machine and
Sure.
20,000+ acres. So the cost of maintenance, cost of ownership after the fact has been I don't know how to say it other than it's just fantastic. There aren't too many tools that I can say that about. And it just works. No matter what the condition, it just works. I don't have to spend a lot of time setting it. I don't have to spend a lot of time monkeying around with changing things. We just hook up to it, grease it, go to work.
Yeah.
And there's an efficiency in that also. So it's been a great tool. It's been a durable tool. It does everything we want it to. And I've told a lot of people, you just pretty much have to pry it from our cold dead hands.
Yeah.
Is the way I would look at it.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. I really do appreciate the time. Mike Peterson, once again, thank you for this opportunity to be live with us, and just given your experience, 42 years being an agronomist, maybe a bit longer than that.
Yep.
So I do appreciate it. I'm sure everyone else does, all the information that you share with us. And, before we close off, please feel free to comment, like our page, share it. And lastly, thank you to Pro Agri, Lazar, the audiovisual guys, and as well for Johnson's workwear, clothing. I really do appreciate everyone's support this year, and let's hope it's going to be a good season for you guys in the US and for us here in South Africa for the year ahead. And I wish you all well, and we'll see you guys next year in the 3rd season. Thank you very much.
Out here, when you've got a problem, you need a solution. And when there's a need, there's an opportunity. This farm has been here for over 50 years. Orthman Manufacturing started on this land, in this barn, and with one man convinced there's got to be a better way. What started with the Orthman family farm has grown into 50 years of farming innovation and quality, and a manufacturer helping growers be more efficient around the world. Just because something's been done before doesn't mean it's been done right. And that's where Orthman found the passion for innovation. And the spark of an idea changed an entire industry. We understand the power and performance you need and the excellence and quality you deserve. The smallest of details are important to us. Shapes, corners, edges, every last detail. There's a standard of excellence, and we take pride in setting the bar and pushing beyond it. Using the latest in design technology, Orthman is continuing a 50-year tradition of innovation for farmers. From the basics to the breakthroughs. Like hollow structural tubing that has now become a standard in the industry. The durability and long life of Orthman row crop cultivators. Our innovative stacked fold toolbar technology. And the common sense utility of the track tiller. Orthman is constantly going one step further, leading the way by developing innovative GPS guidance systems or the unparalleled performance of the one-tripper precision strip till machine. A machine that pioneered strip tillage around the world. And the tradition of Orthman's innovation doesn't end there. No matter what challenges lay ahead, Orthman will continue to lead the way. Your common problems have a unique solution. That's Orthman. Now let's get to work.